on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm just giving you guys a little bit of update on the G35 and what's going on here at the shop. So over the last couple of days, I was having a issue where the car was only running on one bank, so meaning it was only running on 4 cylinders. So I went back over the wiring and everything that I did with the car, and everything looked fine. However, I did pull out one of the relays, and this car used to sit under my carport, and we had a really bad hurricane over like the fall time, like hurricane season, obviously. So while it was sitting there, it was underneath the cover, and I tried my best to cover up all the electronics, but water still got in between one of the relays for the ignition. So having the coil pack harness backwards didn't make it better either, but I drove the car after I figured out the coil pack harness, and it drove fine, but it did cut out, and then after that it started driving on 4 cylinders, well, running on 4 cylinders. So I was trying to figure it out. I took the coil pack harness off of one side and I swapped it to the other. It still didn't change. I also took the coil pack harness apart and it didn't change either, and made sure like nothing was shorted out, because what I was reading online, maybe it was a short in the harness, but the harness is brand new, so it wasn't that. So I changed the relay, and the relay was kind of jacked up. Have it somewhere in the engine bay, I'll show you guys later. But the relay was jacked up, so I swapped the relays out, and boom, it runs on 4 cylinders. So only thing I have, I'm waiting for my alternator to get back from an alternator shop. They're modifying it so I don't have to use that 1-wire alternator thing, because I was trying to wire it up and it wasn't working. And it will charge under when I put straight 12 volts to the alternator, but if I put anything less than 12 volts to it, it wouldn't charge. And it burnt up the last regulator, so I had to go get another alternator. So I'll send the alternator off. It should be done today. Today's Monday. It should be done today, but I didn't call her because I didn't want to bother her or anything. So once it's done, I'm gonna put that on. I'm gonna get some sort of street tune on the car, because I'm just gonna close loop tune it, or open loop tune it, whatever the hell it is. I'm just gonna open loop tune it or close loop tune it. Yeah, that's what it is. So I'm gonna close loop tune the car, and I'm just gonna get the partial throttle figured out and all that. And once I get enough time, after I finish some of these projects that I got going on for customers in the shop, I'm gonna weld the wastegate on the car and put the lowest settings. Well, I have the lowest spring I have in there right now, and I'm just gonna set a boost parameter, and I'm just gonna try to get into boost and see what the car does. I'm just gonna leave it rich up top and pull some timing out, and see what the car does, and then I'll probably just let the ECU tune it after that, because it is like a self-learning ECU, and it does have closed loop. So I have a O2 sensor that's wired into the car right now. Innovative sensor is doing me pretty good as far as getting the car to run, and I'm able to smooth the map out as far as the idling and whatnot. So once I'm able to get the alternator back, before I do actual wide open throttle pulls, I'm gonna get the drive shaft balanced. But I just want to get the car driving. It's running now, great, and driving. And that's pretty much about it. And I have to order hood pins for the hood, because I really want to put a hood on the car, and I want to set my grill in there permanently too, because right now it just flops in there because I have no mounting point for it. So just gonna give you guys an overall shot of the car and what I got going on. So I have to wire the fan into an output that's under here. If you see those, this is the relay right here that was that I had to swap out. I already had to swap out one time for the injector relay because it did get wet too, and that's about it. Let me make sure it's down. It did just turn on. All right, so yeah, so I mean that's pretty much it. Right now I kind of got the water pump ghetto rig, because when I first started off the trailer, after I figured it out, it heated up pretty fast because there's no water circulating in the motor. So after I got the I used the Honda belt and put it on there, got that figured out. So there's actual heat going through the car, and it's not at like 207 anymore, because it did reach 207 once I let the car sit for like half a minute. Later on, sometime this week or next week, I'm gonna do a video on pretty much how I got to the point of building this car, and why I stopped building Hondas. Personally, why I stopped building Hondas. I would still do it for my customers and my friends, but why I stopped doing Hondas and building Hondas, and what brought me to build Hondas, what brought me to build this car, and some of the stuff that I had to go through to get here with this car, and plenty of other setups. All right, so as far as things that are going on in the shop, all right, with this Civic, I have to get his coil on plug wired into the ECU or soldered into the ECU, and I have the ECU over here. It's a JDM P30. I don't know where Drake put it. I had it out here somewhere. Oh, here it is. All right, yeah. So I have the ECU right here. I have to put the thermostat in there. I got to drill a couple holes in it, and I have to redo his distributor. I have to modify this piece of charge pipe right here. Earlier today, I mounted the intercooler permanently, and I made that charge pipe right there. You guys can't see it, but it's this charge pipe right here. I made that. I just got to order a coupler for the intercooler side, a 2.5 inch coupler, and I have to make his catch can lines, plumb the push lock to the wastegate for the top. We're probably just gonna give him wastegate pressure for now, and then we'll figure out as far as how much more power we need to give him, because this is this guy's first like really high horsepower turbo car. Well, it's his first turbo car period, so it's probably gonna be the fastest fucking thing that he's ever had. So trying to set him out there to you know, learn his car first before we put him on kill and then he kills himself. And I also have to change his oil pan to a Barossa oil pan because there's a stock pan on it right now. So I have this Integra right here. It's a JDM front Integra. I'm doing a right-hand drive firewall swap on it. I'm kind of taking my time on it because it's a pain in my ass. And I already have his clip cut out. It's on the other side. And I just need to finish cutting this out. And once I finish cutting this out, I need to trim the other clip, and I'll put it in here. I'm also building a high compression K24 TSX bottom end for a dirt track car. It'll be a 2024 K20 head, K24 bottom end with oversized TSX, not oversized TSX, oversized RSX pistons. It has a K20A2 oil pump and OEM bearings in it. I'm also building a transmission for another dirt track car right here, and when I got it, whoever he got it from ran the trans with no oil in it, so that gear set's pretty much trash, so I have to salvage whatever I can salvage out of it and rebuild the whole trans. So yeah, that's all pretty much going on at the shop right now. I got RIFFRAFF tuned. It made 245 and 189 foot-pounds of torque. Basically the same motor as that TSX motor, except for it has a K20 Z3 head on it, which is pretty much comparable to a K24, like a 08 TSX head. And that was on pump gas, full exhaust, and y'all seen the whole build. It's basically a whole eBay build. It's eBay intake manifold, eBay header, eBay swap harness, eBay mounts. I got a free gear set for the car that also had the same issue as this one here on the floor, where the gear set got hot. I just changed second gear in it, put new bearings in it, from a trans that I had bought that had all new OEM stuff in it, but it was already taken apart. Yeah, I mean, there's people out there putting damn ported heads on their car and they don't even make that much power, and all that motor had is a piston swap. So I'm a pretty firm believer in just putting high compression pistons in a motor on a stock head, and it'll make pretty good power. 245 is a pretty strong on motor car for a stock car, so the car should do work. I did sell the car. Just one of those things where I can never hold on to a Honda. I built the car, somebody was interested in it, my friend, and he was like, hey man, I give you X amount of dollars for it, and I sold the car to him. It's still in the family, that's all I care about, and I'll still be doing work on the car in the future. So I know he will be taking care of that car like I took care of that car, because he knows, you know, how I feel about cars that I sell to people. I'd rather hold on to a car than to sell it and then have somebody trash it, than sell it to somebody I don't know and have them trash. I'd rather sell it to somebody I know that's going to take care of it. So he has plans for the car. We can't really do too much with it because the rods that are in it are like one of the weaker K24 rods, so we can't supercharge it, put nitrous on it or turbo it, so we're kind of stuck being all motor. But the car should make a fun daily. I mean, 245 is plenty. It's enough to kill a fucking transmission. So yeah, so that's what we got. So that's what I got going on right now. I insert some clips of the integra on the dyno and the graph. Anybody can do the same swap. It's not expensive. I did luck up on the transmission, and I pretty much built that motor out of stuff I had sitting over there in that pile of crap on the floor. So like I said, like, it's a junkyard build. That's literally a junkyard build, because that's my junk pile. My other junk pile, because I have another junk pile over there too, which I need to go scrap. But yeah, so that's pretty much about it.